SHRI Sai SATCHARITA, Chapter 31. Title: The Passing Away in Baba's Presence of Sannyasi Vijayanand, Balaram Mankar, Noolkar, Megha, and the Tiger. In this chapter, Hemadpant describes the passing away of certain persons and a tiger in Baba's presence. Preliminary: the last wish or thought that the man has at the hour of his death determines his future course. Sri Krishna has said in Gita, Part 8, verse 5 and 6, that he who remembers me in his last moments comes verily to me, and he that meditates otherwise at that time goes to what he looks for. We cannot be certain that we can entertain a particular good thought at the time of a last moment, for more often than not, we are more likely to be frightened and terrified by many causes. Hence, constant practice is necessary for enabling us to fix our mind on any desired good thought at any or the last moment. All saints therefore recommended us to always remember God and chant His name always, so that we may not be puzzled when the time for departure comes. The devotees on their part surrender themselves completely to the saints, fully believing that all-knowing saints would guide and help them in their last moments. A few such cases will be noted here. Vijayanand. A Madrasi sannyasi named Vijayanand started on a pilgrimage to Mansarovar. En route, hearing Baba's fame, he halted at Shirdi. There he met one Somadevji Swami of Haridwar and inquired him about the particulars of Mansarovar trip. The Swami told him that the Sarovar was 500 miles above the Gangotri and described to him the difficulties of the journey, that is plenty of snow and the change of dialect every 50 kos, and the suspicious nature of the people of Bhutan who gave a lot of trouble to the pilgrims on the way. Hearing this, the sannyasi was dejected and cancelled the trip. Then when he went to Baba and prostrated himself before him, Baba got enraged and said, "Drive out this useless sannyasi, his company is of no use." The sannyasi did not know Baba's nature. He felt discomforted, but sat there watching things that were going on. It was a morning darbar and the masjid was overcrowded. Baba was being worshipped in various ways. Some were washing his feet, some taking the teeth, that is holy water, from his toe and drinking it heartily, and some touching their eyes with it. Some were applying sandal paste and some scents to his body, and all were doing these things forgetting the distinction of caste and creed. Though Baba got enraged with him, he was filled with affection for Baba, and he did not like to leave the place. He stayed in Shirdi for 2 days, and when got a letter from Madras stating that his mother was very ill, he felt very dejected and wanted to be by his mother's side. But he could not leave without Baba's permission, so he saw Baba with the letter in hand and asked for his permission to return home. The omniscient Baba, knowing the future, said no to him. "If you so loved your mother, why did you take sannyas? Fondness or attachment will become an ochre garb. Go and sit quietly at your lodging. Wait with patience for a few days. In the Vada there were many robbers. Bolt your doors. Be very vigilant. The thieves will carry away everything. Wealth and prosperity are transient, and the body is subject to decay and death. Know this. Do your duty. Leave all attachment to the things of this world and next. He who does this and surrenders himself to the feet of Hari, that is Lord, will get free from all the troubles and attain bliss. The Lord runs and helps him who remembers and meditates on him with love and affection. Your store of past merits is considerable, so you have come here. Now attend to what I say and realize the end of your life. Being desireless, begin from tomorrow the study of Bhagavad. Do 3 saptahas, that is, 3 reading during 3 weeks, consciously. The Lord will be pleased with you and destroy your sorrows. Your illusions will vanish and you will get peace." Seeing that his end was approaching, Baba prescribed him that remedy and made him read Ram Vijaya, which pleases the god of death. Next morning, after bathing and other purifying rites, he commenced to read Bhagavad in a secluded part in Lendi Garden. He completed 2 readings and thereafter felt much exhausted. He returned to the Vada and stayed in his lodging for 2 days, and on 3rd day, he breathed his last on Fakir, that is Bade Baba's lap. Baba asked the people to preserve the body for a day for good reason. The police afterwards came and on making proper inquiries, gave permission for the disposal of the body. It was buried in a proper place with due rites. In this way, Baba helped the sannyasi and ensured him Sadgati, that is salvation. Balaram Mankar. There was a household devotee of Baba by the name Balaram Mankar. When his wife passed away, he got dejected and, entrusting his household to his son, left his home and came to Shirdi and lived with Baba. Being pleased with his devotion, Baba wanted to give a good turn to his life, and he did this in this way. He gave him rupees 12 and asked him to go and live in Machindragarh, that is district Satara. Mankar was first unwilling to go and stay away from Baba, but Baba convinced him that he was giving the best cause for him and asked him to practice meditation thrice a day on the Garh. Believing in Baba's words, Mankar came to the Garh. He was much pleased with the lovely sight, pure water, healthy air, and the surroundings of the place, and began to practice assiduously the meditations as recommended by Baba. After some days, he got the revelation. Generally, bhaktas get revelation in their samadhi or trance states, but in Mankar's case, he got it when he came down to his ordinary consciousness from his trance. Baba appeared to him in person. Not only Mankar saw him, but he also asked him why he was sent there. Baba replied, "In Shirdi, many thoughts and ideas began to rise in your mind, and I sent you here to rest your unsteady mind. You thought that I was in Shirdi with a body composed of 5 elements and 3.5 cubits in length, and not outside of it. Now you see and determine for yourself whether the person you see here now is the same that you saw in Shirdi. It is for this reason that I sent you here." Then after the period was over, Mankar left the Garh and proceeded to his native place in Bandra. He wanted to travel by rail from Pune to Dadar, but when he went to the booking office to get a ticket, he found it very much crowded. He could not get the ticket soon, when a villager with a langoti, that is piece of clothes, on his waist and kambali on his shoulder turned up and said, "Where are you going?" "To Dadar," replied Mankar. Then he said, "Please take this Dadar ticket of mine, as I have some urgent business here. I have cancelled my Dadar trip." Mankar was very glad to receive the ticket and was just taking out the money from his pocket when the rustic disappeared in the crowd. Mankar tried to find him in the crowd, but was in vain. He waited for him till the train left the station, but found no trace of him. This was the second revelation Mankar got in strange form. Then Mankar, after visiting his home, again returned to Shirdi and remained there at Baba's feet, always following his biddings and advice. In the end, he was very fortunate to leave this world in the presence and with blessings of Baba. Tatya Sahib Noolkar. Hemadpant gives no particulars regarding Tatya Sahib Noolkar except the bare mention of the fact that he gave up his ghost in Shirdi. Brief summary of this account that appeared in Sai Leela magazine is given here. Tatya Sahib was sub-judge in Pandharpur in 1909 when Nana Sahib Chandorkar was Mamlardar there. Both met often and exchanged talks. Tatya Sahib did not believe in saints, while Nana Sahib loved them. Nana Sahib often told him the Leelas of Sai Baba and pressed him to go to Shirdi and see Baba. He finally agreed to go to Shirdi on 2 conditions. 1. He must get a Brahmin cook. 2. He must get good Nagpur oranges for the presentation. Both these conditions were providentially fulfilled. A Brahmin came to Nana Sahib for service and he was sent to Tatya Sahib, and a fruit parcel containing 100 beautiful oranges was received by Tatya Sahib, the consignor being not known. As the conditions were fulfilled, Tatya Sahib had to go to Shirdi. At first, Baba was much enraged with him, but by and by, Tatya Sahib got such experiences that he was convinced that Baba was God incarnate. So he was enamored of Baba and stayed there till his last breath. As his end was approaching, sacred literature was read out to him, and at last hour, Baba's Pad Tirth was brought and given to him for drinking. Baba, on hearing of his death, said, "Oh, Tatya went ahead of us. He won't be reborn." Megha. The story of Megha has already been described in chapter number 28. When Megha died, all the villagers followed the funeral procession. Baba also accompanied them and showered flowers on Megha's body. After the obsequies were performed, tears flowed from Baba's eyes, and like ordinary mortal, Baba showed himself overcome with grief and sorrow. Then, covering the body with flowers and crying like a near relation, Baba returned to the masjid. Many saints have been giving sadgati to men, but Baba's greatness is unique. Even a cruel animal like tiger came to Baba's feet for being saved, in this story which will be narrated now. Tiger. 7 days before Baba passed away, a wonderful incident occurred in Shirdi. There came a country cart and stopped in front of Baba's masjid. A tiger was on the cart, fastened with iron chains, with its fierce face turned to the rear. It was suffering from some pain or agony. Its keepers, 3 dervishes, were taking it from place to place and making money by exhibiting it. It was the means of their subsistence. They tried all sorts of remedies to cure it from the malady it was suffering from, but all in vain. Then they heard of Baba's fame and came to him with the animal. They got it down the chains with their hands and made it stand at the door. It was naturally fierce, besides disease-ridden, so it was restless. The people began to look at it with fear and amazement. The dervishes went in, told Baba everything about the animal, and with his consent, brought it before him. As it approached the steps, it was shaken aback on account of the luster of Baba and hung its head down. When both saw each other, it got on the step and looked at Baba with affection. Immediately it moved the tuft of its tail and dashed it thrice against the ground and then fell down senseless. On seeing it dead, the dervishes were first much dejected and full of sorrow, but on mature thought they came to their senses. They considered that as the animal was diseased and nearing its end, it was very meritorious on its part that it should meet its death at the feet and in presence of Baba. It was their debtor, and when the debt was paid off, it was free and met its end at Sai's feet. When any creature bow down their heads at Saint's feet and meet death, they are saved. And unless they have got a good store of merit on their account, how could they get such a happy end? Bow to SHRI Sai. Peace be to all. Om Sai Ram.